folks, it's Wednesday, hump day, and we are here, baby, on the hottest show on the streets, dropping your Alabama football news, notes, information, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of TDA. Happy to have you guys all in here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get every friend, every family member to subscribe. We appreciate that. That daily super chat goal, $75 daily super chat goal right there. All donations, all donations welcome and appreciated. Thank you guys for coming in here, checking us out on the show right now. We're gonna actually get to our guests first, who are actually in the building on the phone lines right now. So, without further ado, we go to the In My Own Words hotline. We pick up our first of two guests, and John, this is the reason why I enjoy covering Alabama football, because you get a chance to foster and build and craft relationships with players that become friends for a lifetime. You get a chance to call them and pick their brain on all things collegiate sports right here. So this guy we're bringing on played for the Crimson Tide, wide receiver from 2014 to 2017. He was on 2 college football playoff national championship squads in 2015 and 2017. We're talking about my man, my brother right here, Donnie Lee Jr., former Tide receiver. Donnie, what's happening, man? Welcome in.
What's up, baby? It's always a pleasure to talk with you, man.
Fun having you right here on the show. Donnie Lee Jr. joined us here on the Words. If you're just checking us out here on a Wednesday. So, Donnie, let's just get right into it here. You got Alabama, LSU this week in Baton Rouge, in Tiger Stadium. Normally, this is the game that decides the SEC West. At times, it's been the game to decide who wins the national championship. But, of all the rivalries for Alabama, when you leave college football, when you leave Bama football, the fans will ask you 4 questions. It will be, how many national championships did you win? What was your record against Auburn, your record against Tennessee, and your record against LSU? But of all the rivalries for Bama, Donnie, what makes this one against LSU as intense as it is?
Man, I think it all is really, really rooted in Coach Saban, man. The success that he had in Baton Rouge at LSU. Their fan base always feels like it's their coach. And then, when we go into Baton Rouge, just really, really unique, man. Just the tension, the animosity. Alabama is big when it comes to recruiting the state of Louisiana. So a lot of times we're taking a lot of guys on that trip back to their home state. And, man, it's just always full of passion. Whether LSU is unranked or top 5 in the country, they're going to show up like a national championship contender. The fans there, the atmosphere there is unrivaled, man. It's absolutely insane. So I think that just knowing that they hate us that much makes that game that much more fun. There's a lot of people that consider Alabama their rivals, but LSU is one of those few teams where the Alabama Crimson Tide actually consider them our rivals as well.
So, Donnie, sticking right there with Coach Saban, you bring up the fact, he did coach at LSU at one point in time from 2000 to 2004, got the Tigers to a national championship in 2003. You playing under him and in his system as a receiver, during the LSU week, was there ever just a different level of intensity to Coach Saban? We know he's as intense as it gets, detail-oriented, do the little things right, all of those aspects. But when it comes to the LSU game, did you ever notice just a different tick of intensity from Coach Saban?
Well, I think that one of the things that makes Coach Saban very special is just his ability to stay even keel. So you'll never see him get too high. You'll never see him get too low. He does have a tendency to get really, really passionate whenever we're up by a lot and late in the fourth quarter, but I think that's intentional just to keep the guys humble. But when it comes to that LSU weekend, we're always coming off a bye week. So Coach Saban's always just had his birthday on Halloween. So the guys are really refreshed. A lot of the guys have been banged up, dealing with injuries, kind of had that opportunity to reset and get their bodies back together. Guys have had the opportunity to go back and visit their parents back home and visit family and friends back home. And so it's really a great opportunity to just reset. And so it, in many ways, feels like the second part of the season because, Coach Saban tells us this all the time. We talk about expanding the college football playoffs to 12 to 24, whatever it may be now. But Coach Saban was very adamant in teaching us that, man, the college football playoff starts a lot sooner than you think. And so I know he spent this entire week telling the guys, hey, we lost a tough one. We didn't lose. We learned in Knoxville. And we got another opportunity to prove ourselves, another opportunity to be disciplined. But I think that's essentially what it comes down to, is just recognizing, all right, guys, we're fresh. We're 0-0, right? We haven't won a game. We haven't lost a game. It's all about being 1-0 this week, and going into that with that level of intensity after a bye week. It just changes the intensity for sure.
You're just checking out the show here on a Wednesday. We got my man Donnie Lee Jr., two-time national champion for your Crimson Tide back in 2015 and 2017. Former wide receiver, played from 2014 to 2017. So Donnie, as you brought this up earlier about how tough it is going down the Death Valley, the crowd at Tiger Stadium, the atmosphere. I remember I went down there 2018. This was the Tua Tagovailoa year, and they played the song "I'm from Louisiana," and the place just lost its mind. And they played that for like 2 minutes. Tua goes off in that matchup. Bama wins 29-0, and the place got quiet quickly. And in 2020, of course, we saw what Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris did. But what are you expecting offensively and defensively from this team that's trying to mean business in running the table, trying to get to the SEC Championship, College Football Playoff? What do you want to see offensively and defensively from Alabama when it takes the field Saturday night?
Man, I've spoken with a lot of the guys that I played with, and a lot of the guys that came before me in B-Sci-Fi. I had the opportunity to watch the Bama Texas game with Jalen, with Waddle down in Miami before his season opener. And man, we all agree on the same things. We just want to see the guys be more disciplined and really and truly just less concerned with their social media image. I think Marquise Mays came out and said that a couple of weeks ago, where he's like, man, I'm tired of seeing people send out messages and, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, this isn't Tim Tebow after he lost to Ole Miss and he comes back and says, you're never going to see a team that plays as hard as us. Like, we don't want to talk about it anymore. So, man, going into Saturday, I'm hoping to see a more disciplined team. This is arguably one of the most penalized teams that have come through the Saban era. And that's not Bama football. I'm big on we either win or we learn. We don't really lose football games. But the penalties, man. So I'm expecting to see a team that comes out that's motivated. I think they recognize now that people aren't afraid of the script A on your uniforms. You're not just going to walk into a stadium and win because you're Don and Crimson. And so I think that, the Tennessee game was a humbling experience for them. They're able to shake back from that and keep moving forward with Mississippi State. And so I think that this Saturday we'll see a much more disciplined team. All the guys that I've talked to on the team, they're hungry, man. Everybody wants to live up to that standard, and nobody wants to go out as the team that messed up what Coach Saban had built, right? So I think that we'll see a much better team, a much more disciplined team. I think we'll see a lot less penalties. Obviously, we're going to have to see a lot from Gibbs in terms of running game. He's been a great receiving running back. But, man, we've outrushed LSU the last decade significantly, whereas that hasn't really been our MO this past year. We've become a lot pass-heavy, honestly, since that Ohio State Sugar Bowl game we lost to Cardale Jones. We've been throwing the ball a lot more. And so I think that we'll still remain balanced, but I think that, Coach Saban is going to try to establish the run against that very talented front seven that LSU has early in the game, especially with Ali Gay, those guys down there, and it'll be a good game for sure.
He is Donnie Lee Jr., everybody, former Crimson Tide receiver, two-time national champion 2015 and 2017, giving us his thoughts here on the Alabama-LSU game coming up here on Saturday. Donnie, as always, my brother on my end, I appreciate you coming on here, giving us your thoughts, your expertise on the team, the alma mater, the program you played for and had a great time being a part of. We appreciate you, my guy. You take it easy.
Yes, sir. You too, my brother. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Donnie Lee Jr. right there, former Crimson Tide receiver. And now we go to our second superstar of a guest. And one of the reasons why, John, I enjoy SEC Media Days, whether it's in Hoover or in Atlanta, is you get a chance to meet some awesome, creative, fun people that just enjoy doing what they do, covering their favorite football program in the Southeastern Conference. And this guy right here is no exception. We bring on the YouTube personality for those LSU Tigers, my man Carter Bryant, a.k.a. Carter, the Power. He's here. Carter, man, what's going on?
Steven, the real Steven Smith. What's up, man? Life is grand, man. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. Happy to have you in here, Carter. It's been too long, man. So it's Alabama, it's LSU, it's a night game, it's on ESPN. You can't ask for any much more than that. But when you bring in Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, he comes in as the new head coach, taking over for the departed or the fired Ed Ogeron, and you lose 23-24 to Florida State. And a lot of people are like, okay, Brian Kelly, was this really the right hire? Was this really the right move? Just lost to Florida State there. But how has he been able to get the guys bought in and kind of turn the thing back around? How has Brian Kelly been able to get this success going here with the Tigers at 6-2 now?
Yeah, so the team was just radically different when they played Florida State to start the year. They had a drastic change in how they actually line up their offensive line and started playing a few really good true freshman players, such as Emory Jones, a right tackle. And obviously, really the story of this team, Stephen, obviously outside of Jaden Daniels improving as a quarterback in Brian Kelly's first year, the story has been Harold Perkins, their 5-star superstar linebacker who's just given teams fits. And I know, quite a few of your viewers are very familiar with Lane Kiffin, obviously his admiration for Saban and now, coaching for Ole Miss. He was very complimentary of number 40 for LSU, saying that he was the difference in the last game. And quite frankly, Stephen, he was the difference. He is a true difference maker for the LSU defense. And look, you look at the last road game, when you look at Alabama on tape, and I brought this up. I started an SEC general channel, Power Hour SEC. One thing that was very interesting to me was Alabama's offensive line has just been radically different on the road as compared to how they've been at home. And as you mentioned a minute ago, Stephen, it is so different playing on the road, especially in a very hostile, loud environment like Tiger Stadium will be on Saturday. So how will this Alabama offensive line block what LSU's pass rush has done up to this point? I heard your last guest, D. Lee, bring it up. Ali Gay and the defensive line for LSU played one of their better games versus Ole Miss. So we'll see how that matchup actually plays out on Saturday.
Absolutely. If you're just checking us out, folks, we got my man Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power, covering those LSU Tigers right here on In My Own Words on a Wednesday. So, Carter, you go to now Jaden Daniels and Kayshon Boutte, the quarterback wide receiver combination there for LSU. Now, of course, the Tigers also have Jeray Jenkins and a few other guys that can catch the football and make plays with it. But Jaden Daniels, coming over from Arizona State, has really sort of kicked it into high gear these last couple of weeks with his accuracy throwing the football. We know he can run it. He's a dynamic athlete. But there was a point early in the season where Boutte and Daniels weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye there. How have those two kind of gotten their chemistry in stride as they look to, try to torch in the Alabama secondary this weekend? How has the chemistry of Boutte and Daniels come together?
Yeah, I see one of your viewers, Travis, talked about the running game for Alabama. Honestly, Stephen, the story for LSU has been their running game, right? They really didn't have a clear-cut marquee running back going into the year. And LSU's best running back, in fact, has been a former walk-on in Josh Williams. He's outperformed quite a few of the high top 100 backs that LSU has on the roster, and he's just been the healthiest. So that's been a big key why Jaden has been a better player. The offensive line, of course, has been better, and it's interesting, right? A lot of people have brought up that, Alabama's receiving group hasn't been one of the deepest and one of the most talented that Saban has ever had. The opposite is actually true for LSU. Their wide receiver tradition of having big-time wide receivers has actually continued here, as they have one of the best wide receiving groups in the SEC. So, obviously, how does Alabama secondary match up well with the Kayshons? How do they match up versus Malik Neighbors, number 8, Brian Thomas Jr., number 11, and Jeray Jenkins, number 10? We'll see. And then obviously, Stephen, the elephant in the room here is obviously the Elias Ricks transfer. And now that he's a big part of Alabama secondary, it's going to be a matchup, honestly, for the ages, right? And, you look historically between LSU and Alabama, that's always been one of the marquee matchups. The star wide receivers from one team going up against the star cornerbacks for the other. Go back to those legendary Patrick Peterson and Julio Jones matchups, the Jamar Chase versus Trevon Diggs matchup. And whoever Elias Ricks is going up against, whoever Kool-Aid McKinstry is going up against this weekend, it's going to be a tough matchup. The difference is going to be, will Jaden continue, like you said, his accurate throwing of the football? He has actually let it rip these last couple of weeks, where in the previous weeks he's been a little gun-shy.
Absolutely. So, Carter, as we look now to Nick Saban and Brian Kelly here for just a moment. Brian Kelly had 2 previous chances to get a win over Coach Saban while he was at Notre Dame. The first one, the 2013 BCS title game off a 2012 season. Of course, the Irish got waxed 41-14 down in Miami. And then 2020, the COVID year, where the Rose Bowl was played in Arlington, Texas. Alabama got the 31-14 win there. So here's time number 3 here for Brian Kelly. So when you look at this, is there a distinct advantage you see that Kelly could have over Saban, or may have over Saban, in this matchup here on Saturday?
Yeah, it's interesting to bring up the previous matchups, Ryan. And, when Brian Kelly took this job, there was, a lot of people that brought up, hey, the reason why he's going to LSU is so he can have better athletes to beat the Coach Sabans. And then, of course, Stephen, you had the storyline of when, Brian Kelly took this job, he actually did reach out to Nick Saban for advice, and Nick obliged and gave him some advice. So it is very interesting when you look at these two men, 2 of the best coaches in the sport of the past, few decades. Brian Kelly looking for his first national championship, and obviously Nick looking for his 8th. Well, what's very interesting is BK's had a few games where he's just not coached that well, right? The Florida State game was one of them, and obviously the Tennessee game. LSU just did not start fast. That has been an issue for this team this year. But one thing Brian Kelly has been exceptional at this year, Stephen, has been making these in-game adjustments to get some aspects of the LSU defense going, and honestly some of the LSU offense as well. And what's very interesting, amongst these 2 men who we all consider 2 of the best coaches in the country, there have been some uncharacteristic special teams mistakes that both of these coaches have made this year, or their teams have made it under their watch. So it is very interesting when you look at that. And obviously Brian Kelly does have the home field advantage. And Stephen, I'm sure you brought this up on your show. Nick's not been as sharp as on the road. His teams have not been that sharp on the road during this Bryce Young era over the past couple of years. So, you're walking into arguably the most hostile environment, Tiger Stadium at night. Your last guest who actually played brought up how difficult it is to actually play there. It's going to be tough, right? And Nick's teams are going to have to, play a little bit more button up to win this game. And the same thing is actually true with LSU as well.
Going to be a very intriguing matchup in the Bayou and Tiger Stadium on Saturday. But he is Carter Bryant, better known as Carter the Power, covering the LSU Tigers right here. Joining us on In My Own Words on a Wednesday. Carter, is always, my man. Like I said, it's been too long. We had to get you back in here. I'm happy we got you back in here. Man, you take care of yourself, man. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Yeah, I love your energy, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Carter Bryant here covering those LSU Tigers, helping us out there on the show. We're going to take a break right now, folks. When we come back, we're going to go to the phone lines, re-grab your calls, your thoughts, your conversations. Light us up how you feel about the matchup right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, people, we're back into the action right here from the break on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, covering your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We got some super chats to get to right now, so let's get started. How about my man Bill? Bill from New York with that $5 donation, dropping the love there in the bucket. Appreciate Bill. And we got Mark Bars with a $10 donation. Appreciate Mark there helping us out. We got Mechanic with the big money. Mechanic with a $70 donation, showing love to us from the show. And then we got DJ Webb here with that $4.99 in the Super Chats as well. We've hit that daily Super Chat goal of $75. Thank you to all the fans for your support here. Continue to hit that like button, hit that thumbs up, smash the like button, make this your show, your network platform, channel space to talk Alabama football as the Crimson Tide prepares here for LSU on Saturday. But right now we go to the phone lines to grab your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen, it's Daniel from Phoenix City. How are you?
Doing great, Daniel, and yourself?
Oh, man, I'm hanging in there. Looking forward to Saturday, you know?
It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be LSU. I mean, this is the game where the SEC West usually won, so it should be a good one.
Man, I got a couple things. First off, I was listening to the Bama Standard last night, and I can't remember the guy's name. Ryan something, the guy with the sweet beard.
Ryan Fowler.
He had said yeah, that's him. He had said that he had spoke to Bill O'Brien some time ago, and Bill O'Brien had said that this team was good, not great. And I don't know about you. When I heard that, I almost kind of blew a gasket on that. I'm not going to lie, because strictly in my opinion, I think at least on the offensive side of the ball, that kind of falls on him, as we've kind of exhaustively said, that his play calling is vanilla and pretty predictable. Just my opinion on that. That was crap. The other thing is more of just a question. This is looking ahead, assuming Alabama wins out, the rest of the schedule. Even going into this weekend, who do you think Alabama would match up better with, Georgia or Tennessee? Just curious on your thoughts on that.
Okay, so to answer the first one, O'Brien, the play calling falls on him, because not just people in the media talk about it, but former players talk about it. I mean, Mike McCoy has talked about the play calling being very predictable, very vanilla, very elementary, if you would. And you're not trying to have the reigning Heisman Trophy winner work just excruciatingly hard just to get stuff to happen. You want Bryce Young to be able to make plays with ease. And it just looks like on the field, Bryce Young is exhausting every bit of energy just to make a play. And it shouldn't be like that. The play calling should help him be successful with ease on the field. Now, in terms of who does Alabama match up better against, I would say Georgia, just due to Georgia's offense has had moments where it has not looked good. I mean, defensively, yes. Kirby Smart's got defense, yes. But there have been moments where Stetson Bennett's looked, There are moments the Georgia offense has looked, So I would say Georgia over Tennessee. But I appreciate my man Daniel there for that call, calling out of Phoenix City, Alabama. Well, Phoenix City. We'll take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steve, it's Rob from Chicago. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Rob, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I've taken a sabbatical. I've listened to a couple of your shows, and as usual, I want to kind of come with kind of a business perspective on this, outside perspective. When I look at Alabama right now, I'm looking through LSU through kind of the lens of what it's going to take to win a national championship. Now, I'm not overlooking LSU. It's going to be a tough game. And just like I called the Tennessee situation, I thought Alabama would win by 3, but your comment was, hey, it's going to be a barn burner. And that really was the reality. You know, three or three, one way or the other is within the margin of error. But when I look at the lens of Alabama winning the national championship, first of all, I think they'll beat LSU by 7 to 10 points, assuming they don't have any turnovers. I just don't think LSU has the talent level yet to compete with Alabama. And Brian Kelly pretty much said that in the press conference that they still have some holes. But here's the keys that I think are really most important for Alabama. First of all, to beat a great team down the road, whether or not it's LSU, Georgia, or Tennessee, they've got to have a pass rush coming up through the middle. Because as I've looked at this Tennessee versus Georgia game, I don't care how good a safeties you have or nickel or dime cornerbacks, they cannot match the speed of these Tennessee wide receivers. So the only way you're going to beat a team of that ilk or like Ohio State is, you got to have a pass rush. And it just can't be from the corners because they can step up in the pocket on the corners. We're going to have Otis, some of these other guys that you know more about than I do, put the pass rush on. That's going to be really critical. The second thing is what I called, again, about the Tennessee game. I thought it'd be an advantage for Alabama, but unfortunately we had, I forget the guy's name, but it doesn't matter. He tried to pick up the ball and it was a fumble. We've got to win in the special teams area to win a national championship and to beat LSU. And I think it starts with the punter, who's been doing a pretty good job. But Will Reichert, he's going to have to come through down the stretch because one of these games, I don't know which one, is going to be won by a field goal here or there. I think that's really important. Offensively, I think they're okay. I mean, Bill O'Brien, he's not the best, but I think with Bryce Young coming down the stretch, he's going to win the game for you. So just keep it close. I think defensively, Pete Golding, he's a problem. And I don't care what kind of coverage you have, again, not to be redundant, if you don't have that pass rush, and also you need to have the linebacker play to be improved on the run game, because the thing that, particularly about Tennessee and Georgia, you have to stop that run, and we got to do a better job in that regard as well. So those are my comments, kind of looking through LSU for the final stretch toward the national championship. Be curious to your thoughts on any of that. Thanks.
Absolutely. Appreciate Robert from Chicago right there. And I share in the sentiment of the defensive line, interior of that line, getting that pass rush. Teams that have won the national championship at Alabama under Coach Saban, that defensive line has gotten a consistent pass rush, whether it was players like a Nick Gentry or Marcel Darius or Terrence Cody or Damian Square or Brandon Dederick. We can go down to an Ashawn Robinson, a Jaron Reed, a Jonathan Allen, a Deshaun Hand, a Dalvin Tomlinson, a Quinnen Williams, a Christian Barmore. The list goes on. I mean, even though Alabama did not win the national championship last year, a big field for Darian Mathis did play extremely well, had 9.5 sacks. So the point is, you're going to have Otis, you're going to have Burrows, you're going to have Tim Smith, Byron Young. Those guys have got to collapse the pocket from the inside and suffocate the opposing team's quarterback, not allowing that guy to step up or even try to break containment of the pocket. I've even said this, if you can't get the sack, get your hands up and knock the ball down. Coach Saban's been waiting on that. Get in the quarterback's mirror, get in his window of vision. Knock the ball down. You can affect him that way also. Because if you get your hands up and that ball's tipped up, deflected in the air, it could be a pick. Could be a pick six. I mean, we saw this earlier in the season where somebody got their hands up in the air. Will Anderson ends up getting the ball and housing it for a touchdown. So for the Crimson Tide, from the interior of that defensive line, got to have that pass rush. We grabbed this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, how's it going, Steve? It's Tobias out here in Fresno. How you doing, sir?
Man, I cannot complain, my man. How we feeling?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good. How you feeling about the rankings that just came out yesterday? You feel like it was just about right?
I feel like that, Tobias. I mean, I know a lot of fans are going, why is Alabama at 6? You know, why did they put the Crimson Tide there? People forget, you know, to open the playoff in 2014, and Blake Sims was the starting quarterback. Alabama opened at 6. And then 2015, Bama opened at 5 with Jacob Coker and got the national championship and won. So this is not anything new.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. It's just been funny to look at these boards and hear people going crazy. I'm like, we lucky we 6 because, quite frankly, because TCU undefeated. They got some wins over some ranked teams, and so it'll play itself out to, you know, and I was making that point on Monday, just all of this stuff is playing itself out. I know we're going to the 12-team playoff and all of that, but when you look at the top 12 teams right now, I mean, does anybody really believe anybody above that 12 mark is going to make a splash and make a run for it? The answer is no. And so, but I am interested in this Tennessee-Georgia game. So, yeah, I'm interested in the LSU game. I think that this should be a game, given Nick Saban's press conference today. He sounds very confident that it's been a good week of practice. And so the boys need to come out and not make mistakes and just play ball. I would say that, you know, I haven't been one jumping on the coordinators and stuff like that, but, man, they need to let these boys just play. I think we get a little bit too cute. In the Tennessee game, you know, it was like nails on the chalkboard, just not letting the boys get loose. Let them get after them. You know, don't, you know, why are we doing this, like trying to make a cup or a little, you know, ring around the quarterback and trying to keep him in the pocket? No, go get it, man. Let's just let it loose. Let these boys be wild like they used to try to hold Barmore back. And finally, they just had to let Barmore get loose, man. And let that boy do what big boys do. And so I agree with you, what you were saying about the defensive line. I think Bryce, I do think he gets a little bit too cerebral because, you know, he does have a lot of they give him a lot of flexibility and autonomy in the offense. So I know we talk about Bill O'Brien and these calls. I don't think that he's doing a great job at calling plays, but I do think that I'm noticing that Bryce is making a lot of checks and stuff like that, and that creates a lot of confusion. We just need to play fast. When we got down by 21 points or whatever it was in that Tennessee game and had to play fast, you saw we started putting up points. And we can't have that this game. The defense needs to be able to get off the field, and our offense has to score points. That's what makes a defense also play well. So I know some people have been down on the defense. It's, you know, it may not be what some of the other defenses in the past have been, but I tell you, it's still a great defense, I think. But when you have an offense that goes 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, that's tough when you're dealing with a high-powered team. I called in today because I was listening to your the gentleman asked who's the better matchup, Tennessee or Georgia. You know, I would have said Georgia, But I think Alabama needs to play Tennessee again, quite frankly. Georgia, we're kind of to play a Georgia team. It's a game with a Georgia team. We know Georgia. I do believe that Georgia's tight ends are something to see. But I think if we played Tennessee again, we would have the right scheme and right attack to beat them. And then lastly, I wanted to just get your take it off the air. Just a little question: who needs to have the biggest impact? In fact, not even who. What position group needs to have the biggest impact in this LSU game in order for us to seal the deal? I'll take your comment off the air and I'll drop something in the chat.
Appreciate Tobias for calling in right there, my man out of Fresno. Position group that needs to have the biggest impact, I think it's the wide receivers. I really do. I mean, the talk has been all week about LSU's group at wide receiver with Keyshawn Butte, Jeray Jenkins, and a couple of and the other guys on that roster. But this group of receivers for Alabama, they've got to emerge. They've got to emerge and show that we're deep and we're talented also. I mean, we've seen moments where Ja'Cory Brooks has flashed. We've seen the freshmen, Kobe Prentice and Isaiah Bond, step up in moments. I know that Trayshawn Holden and Jermaine Burton have been up and down, all year. JoJo Earl has gotten back healthy. He's done some things. We finally recognize that Tyler Harrell is not an urban myth. He is out there on the field. Did catch a pass against Mississippi State. So I want to see these receivers catch the football, catch the ball, and make plays. And let Bryce Young know, like, you can trust us. You can trust us with the ball in our hands out there on the field. I mean, behind the receivers, I would look at the secondary, absolutely. But my number one, because of the fact that we have just not seen receivers really, truly step up, and Bryce is able to know, okay, I got these guys. They are going to catch the ball. I can trust them to catch this football because we've seen so many dropped passes this year. Wide receivers have got to have the biggest impact for Alabama in this matchup. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen M. Smith. This is Tide Man checking in from Jackson, Mississippi. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Todd, man. Can't complain. Here you got Bama, LSU this weekend, and Tiger Stadium. Can't wait to get down there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm going to try to be optimistic. I need you to help me out a little bit.
Go ahead.
Tell you what, it was a great interview that you had on the I forget the name of the show with I guess it was yesterday. I just called it this afternoon. But with Sean Alexander and Trent Richardson and Bo Scarborough and Marvin Constant there, all on board giving their opinions. And I tell you what, listening to those guys, it was just amazing. It made me realize, okay, I'm a fan, never played more than high school football. But, some of us Bama fans, maybe we actually do know a little bit about what we're talking about. It's not just we're not trying to just beat up on our coordinators or just be negative, but you're talking about you could hear all three of those guys. Bo Scarborough, I think he's born and bred in Tuscaloosa. When they come from Tuscaloosa, and Trent Richardson and Sean Alexander. These guys, you could hear it in their voices like they want to step on that field Saturday night themselves and say, "Give me the ball." Just line up on the center and toss me the ball and hand me the ball and let me just trust my offensive line. And we're gonna get 3, 4, 5 yards. We're gonna grind this thing out, and we're gonna control the game. And you could hear it. You could hear it from these guys, and that's what we don't have. And they were trying not to be negative or critical. They were just more like, man, it's kind of like they were all kind of like scratching their head saying, man, where's that Bama standard? I guess that was the name of the show. It's something where is that Bama standard gone? Because Burton Burns and Ivy Williams and Trent was saying, man, when I was, Sean Alexander was on the sideline, he was coaching me up, and then I was coaching Bo Scarborough up, and we just there was a certain way we did things as running backs. There's a certain way we did, a mentality that we had. We went into a game trusting our offensive line, just knowing and trusting our defense. And like I think Trent said something about somebody made a comment about a score prediction and that they had Alabama winning, but somebody scoring like 24 points on them or something. And Dante Hightower overheard it and like stepped up and like intervened and said, "What? 24? What? Y'all gonna score how many points on us?" I mean, that was just there was that mentality of these Nick Saban Bama teams that we've been used to for so long that I think today we Bama fans are honestly saying, I don't know if we have that. I haven't seen it yet on either side of the ball. I don't know if it's coaching. It can't be talent because we've got the talent. We've recruited well. So it can't be the athleticism. And we don't just want to beat up on coaches because that's the easiest thing to do all the time. Fire this guy, fire that guy. That's the easy move, especially for people like me that are just fans and don't really know the intricacies of the X's and O's and all that goes into the game of coaching football. But there's something missing. And now we're going into Death Valley. And LSU, their coaches change, they're whatever. But, man, they're going to do something. They're going to be LSU. They're going to be physical. They're going to be strong defensively. They're going to be, well, not always well coached, which is to our benefit sometimes. But Brian Kelly, now they got a coach who's probably knows how to dial up the X's and O's when he needs to as well. He just didn't have the players at Notre Dame. And all these things about anxiety, that's never been a word that was never even entered our consciousness before. Going into a game with anxiety, Alabama, we're Alabama. And Stephen M., let me ask you a couple of questions. I'll hang up and get you to answer off. I'll take your answers off the air. But I am seriously worried about Bryce Young getting seriously injured, maybe permanently injured, with the way Bill O'Brien is calling these plays. Because it's one thing is Mississippi State for you to just get in the shotgun, empty backfield, and count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and let Bryce Young look like a magician, and he is a magician. It's another thing when you got guys who weigh 50 pounds more than you, who are just as fast as you, and you got 3 or 4 of them coming after you. You can't be out there running around like that, and then all of a sudden just dump it off to Jahmyr Gibbs, and he'll just, out of pure athleticism, get 8-10 yards. Can't do that against LSU. That ain't going to work. If that's Bill O'Brien's game plan, I'm here to tell you we might be in for a long night in Baton Rouge. And I hope to goodness that somehow Bill O'Brien has come to his senses and said, man, we need to line up and run the ball at least a little bit. Control the line of scrimmage at least a little bit. Protect our quarterback at least a little bit. Give our defense some rest a little bit. So I don't know. Anyway, great comments also from Donnie Lee Jr., by the way, man. Props to having him on there, man. Every Bama player that's come through the program, man. We love all of you. It's always so great to hear those guys' perspectives and hear their commitment to the program, to Alabama football. Anyway, Stephen M., I don't mean to be negative, man. I'm hoping for the best, but just give me some good positive words to keep me lifted up, and I'm ready. And roll Tide, man. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate Todd, man, calling in there from Mississippi. Now, going back to Bryce, going back to Bryce just a little bit. A lot of this is Bryce Young is competitive. He wants to make a play so bad that he'll do anything possible to make the play, and that's part of what makes him great. But we all know hindsight is 20/20, and there's a flip side to everything. So as much as we would like to see Bryce, throw the ball away, protect your arm, your body, your investment, we know that you're going to be arguably the number 1 quarterback taken in next year's draft, probably the number 1 overall pick taken in April's draft of next year. Protect yourself. But asking Bryce Young to protect himself and not do the thing that makes him who he is, which is trying to make a play when it seems like there's no play, I mean, is that like telling a horse not to go fast? I mean, I don't know. I know Saban has this comment that says, I want to save you from yourself and being overly competitive, but hopefully with Bryce, we will see this weekend him being able to do more of throwing the ball away if there's nothing there. And then also with Bill O'Brien, we get it. I mean, he is who he is. We can't even be asking for creativity anymore, but at least a little bit, at least more of trusting if the run game is working, and you see that it's working from upstairs in the booth, trust that and continue to lean on that. I think that's the one thing we can ask from Bill O'Brien at this point. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. What's happening, man?
Doing great, my man. How you feeling, Bill?
I'm good. I got to tell you, what great calls tonight, one after the other. Seriously, Rob in Chicago, Tideman, Tobias, and even the ones before them, all great calls. And I give you the credit for having such a great show. Anyway, look, first I want to say I agree with Rob in Chicago 1,000% about the pressure up the middle. I've been saying it all year. I mean, if you had Christian Barmore, let's say, just him from last year on this team, that Tennessee game would have been 1,000% different. We could blame the defensive backs, but every play they got 2-3 guys on Will Anderson. He's still making plays. He's still probably maybe the best player in college football, but you got to have something up the middle. And you said it yourself. All the great Alabama teams had that, And maybe we got to keep trying freshmen when Otis comes back, and and the thing is, like, what I want to talk about is like with the offensive assistants, the assistant coaches, right? I don't think O'Brien is anywhere near as good as Loxley, Sarkisian's maybe to me the best offensive mind in pro or college football. Kiffin, these guys, I don't put them in their class, but I think the problem, honestly, Stephen, is NIL. I think it's new to everybody. Look at the class. Texas A&M, they had the best class, highest ranked class of all time, and they're just falling apart. And the advantage, I think, at this point, it's going to give us an advantage because of Coach Saban, because he'll think of a way to handle this, and I think the guys now had a chance. They lost a game. They almost lost a couple of games. They see what's happening with A&M and guys getting in trouble, and I think Saban will have them, ready to play. I think they're going to be ready to play. That's why I'm not even worried about this game. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but I think we're going to destroy them. I think it's going to be playing LSU is going to be like Muhammad Ali in his prime fighting the fifth grader. We're gonna absolutely wipe them off the field, and that's what I'm thinking. Or what do you think, Stephen?
I mean, this to me, Bill, is going to be a good one, just due to Alabama knows that we cannot afford another loss on the schedule, and when you have little room for error, little to no room for error, you play with a sense of urgency, not playing tight or not playing conservative, but you play with a sense of urgency, knowing, okay, everything we do, we got to make sure it's done right. So Saban knows there's urgency there. Everybody on the team knows there's urgency there. I heard the offensive line arguably had its best week of practice, so that's huge news. You should definitely want that line opening up things. You definitely want that line opening up things for Gibbs and McLaren and Jamarian Miller and everybody else, and also protecting Bryce Young. So I think this team knows the urgency's there, and that switch of understanding has come up that urgency's there.
Now that's great to hear, because if we had any weaknesses at all in terms of talent, is like I say, the push up the middle on defense, and the offensive line, like I've seen better ones. But this team's loaded with talent. We forget that they lost one game, and and it's like a shock to me and a lot of people. But the thing is, look at that. The running back room might be the best we ever had that I can remember. I mean, there's just one guy after. They're all good. You know, the receivers, these freshmen, these young kids, they can all run like 10, 9-something, 400-yard dash. The talent is there, but we never had the guys with like pockets full of cash to weigh them down. You know, but like I said, I think Saban will get it together. And listen, man, thanks for your show. Thanks for all you do. Thanks to your staff. Everybody's great. You know, roll Tide, man. We're gonna remember. We're gonna flatten them we're gonna steamroll these fools. All right.
Appreciate my man Bill, man. Always gotta appreciate my man Bill from New York calling in, giving his thoughts on the show. We'll take this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from. Unfortunately, we lost that call right there. 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. Got to appreciate my man Tobias from Fresno with that $20 donation in the Super Chat. Showing love right there. Appreciate Tobias. Also, people, hit the like button. Smash the like button. Give us that thumbs up. Like the show. Make this your show. Your place to talk Alabama football right here in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Call topic of the day, Derrick King Henry stands alone. Career rushing touchdowns for the Tennessee Titans with 75. Got the record on Sunday. And against the Houston Texans, which he continues to feast on the Houston Texans throughout his career. Derrick, who got drafted second round in the 2016 venue, has surpassed Earl Campbell and Eddie George for the most career rushing touchdowns in the history of the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans franchise. So big ups to Derrick Henry. Continues to get records, snatch records, and show, he's King Henry for a reason. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steven, how's everything popping in Birmingham tonight?
Doing great, Waylon. Can't complain here. We got Bama, LSU on Saturday in Tiger Stadium. Going to be a good one. Bama ranked 6th in the college football playoff, but we know Saban don't care about no rankings. He knows that all of the goals right there in front of Alabama, they just got to get them done. So they start on Saturday.
Yeah, we got to start on Saturday. I'm like Bill. I never have really. I'm not even worried about LSU. I just don't think LSU can keep up with Alabama. Alabama's on a mission. But, those rankings there Tuesday night didn't surprise me any. I don't think it surprised you any either. Tennessee's got the big wins. LSU, Alabama, I mean, they've got the wins. So it was it was one of the worst called football games I've ever seen in my life. Really, I never have said a whole lot about it, but I'm not trying to blame the referees, but they had a little dirt on their pants, I think. Maybe some little money in their pocket. I don't know, but it's gotten worse the last 3 or 4 years. We can look at it, NFL, college. I mean, we've had some terrible calls in both the NFL and college the last 3 or 4 years and before COVID. So maybe Greg Sankey pumped these referees up a little bit and told them, y'all better get your crap together or you might not have a job next week. Maybe he had a little talk with them. But somebody mentioned the wishbone. It was Brody, I think, in the chat. I remember, Lord, we had a lot of good quarterbacks. Stedman Shealy, Richard Todd, Gary Rutledge, Terry Davis. I remember all those guys playing for Coach Bryant. Seemed like the running game and the passing game, like Brody said, clicked all the time in the 70s. I don't know what it was. Maybe people were not able to adjust to the wishbone offense. A lot of teams wasn't like these fast-paced offenses we got like Tennessee. Maybe Alabama needs to practice a little bit on this fast pace. I don't know. I'd like to see them run it. We ran it under Lane Kiffin a lot, didn't we? Did you see, we saw a lot of productivity under Lane Kiffin with the hurry-up offense, didn't we, Stephen?
Alabama did. I mean, Alabama had a lot of productivity under Lane, a lot of productivity under Michael Locksley also. People don't give Coach Locks enough credit. I mean, he ran that no-huddle up-tempo style well. Sarkisian made it a bit more sophisticated, but Kiffin and Locksley did a great job.
Yeah, I was just fixing to mention his name, Coach Lyon. So, yeah, they done a great job that hurry-up offense. I'd like to see Alabama sort of transition back to that a little bit and do a little bit more hurry-up offense. Maybe they don't feel like they have the correct players, or I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not coaching down there, so I can't. I'm just an armchair quarterback. But maybe they'll get it turned around. But everybody in chat, y'all looking good. Y'all done a great job. I think we're pushing close to 100 likes tonight. Y'all doing it, making this show the hottest show on the street, hottest show on YouTube, hottest show in the world. We love all y'all. We'll be back Friday, hopefully there. We're going to be around the house this week. We thought we was going to be gone, but we back in. So, anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of the week. Let's get ready for Saturday. Some important ball games. Let's get ready, get our minds right in Alabama, get their minds right. We'll take care of business Saturday night. We love all y'all. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate weighing in there, calling in. We got some super chats here. So Jimmy Cash Money Clay with that $25 donation. Showing love. They're always going to appreciate Jimmy Clay right there. And then we got Tracy Calloway with the $5 donation. Appreciate Tracy as well. We're going to go to a break right now, folks. If you're holding on the call lines, hold through for the next 10 minutes or call back for the next 10 minutes. When we get back, we'll touch on Bryce Young feeling good this week, coming off the bye, and breaking down some positions that got to step up, do their thing in this matchup with LSU. We'll talk about it after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, we're back into the action right here from the break. Hottest show on these streets, talking your Crimson Tide football news on a Wednesday hump day. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA, my man John Ivory in the production studio. And John, so we're getting into now, the guys are going to have this impact here for Alabama against LSU. I mentioned the sense of urgency is right there. This team knows. Little to no room for error. Very little room for error right now. You can't afford to lose another game because college football playoff implications, SEC championship implications, all of these things on the line starting this week against LSU coming off a bye. Now, the one piece of good news to start this off, Bryce Young feels real good, really good heading into Saturday's matchup. He spoke to reporters on Monday, said the bye week was really good for him. Got a chance to rest, recover, recuperate. His throwing shoulder feels fantastic. He's got grip on the ball, release of the ball, arm strength on the ball, juice on the ball, being able to make the maneuvers there with his throwing shoulder. Bryce is good. Bryce feels good heading into this match. And this is important because he and Bill O'Brien have to be on the same page this week right here. When you look at O'Brien, the game planning, the scheming, at this point, asking for creativity from Bill O'Brien is like asking Sneakers O'Toole to give up his sneakers. Sneakers O'Toole is not going to give up any sneakers. So asking creativity from Bill O'Brien, that's pretty much thrown out the window. But at the very least, can he take the pressure off of Young by leaning more into the run game? Can he do that? When he sees Jahmyr Gibbs getting 4 to 5 yards per carry, when he sees Jase McClellan getting 4 to 5 yards per carry, when he sees other running backs having success and the offensive line is able to move these guys for LSU off the ball, can he lean more so into that? That's the big question. That along with having other route concepts for receivers. if you watch Bill O'Brien's play calling all year, he's got these long developing routes for wide receivers, and Bryce Young is waiting for these guys to get open in 1 to 2 seconds. But the play call are these long developing routes. Can O'Brien pull out more slants, more hitches, more quick comeback stuff? So Bryce, see the guy open, get the ball out, right? Because offense is under Kiffin, Sarkisian, Loxley, even offenses under Jim McElwain, they flowed, right? It didn't feel like the quarterback was working so excruciatingly hard to get something to happen. The offense flowed. So against LSU, can Bill O'Brien just have a thing flow? Not have Bryce out there like a lumberjack, Paul Bunyan style, working so hard for everything. Just let the offense naturally flow here if you are O'Brien, in terms of he and Bryce sort of being on to that same page there. But the big thing here, Alabama's offensive line. And Coach Saban mentioned today, probably their best week of practice. They played well against Arkansas, the offensive line. Played very well against Arkansas. But this week has been their best week of practice. I mean, the guys look like they want to go out here and do something. They look like they want to go out here and dominate. Now the question is, who starts at center? Is it Darian Dalcourt? Is it Seth McLaughlin? I mean, Dalcourt has had some good moments this season, but we all know 56 McLaughlin is the real deal. Offensive line looks different, plays different, conducts itself differently when he's out there at the center controls there for Alabama. When you're going up against an LSU team that has regained its swagger in terms of pass rushing, stopping the run, creating turnovers, big plays defensively, offensive line, you got to be able to neutralize that and impose your will up front. So this offensive line can't allow Bryce Young to get hit, dropped, decked back there, but you also can't allow yourself to start behind the 8 ball. You can't allow yourself to be in 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12, and 3rd and long. Also, the fall starts. I mean, I get it for the offensive line. You're going into hostile territory, Tiger Stadium, but patience where the snap count, patience where the silent count is concerned. Can't jump off sides in this matchup. Can't have false starts. Can't have delay of game penalties in this matchup. So that's huge. That's important there for the offensive line. But I think the biggest thing, and I mentioned this, John, wide receivers. I got to have it this week. These guys have got to play big this week. They got to. We've seen so many dropped passes, whether it's from Trayshawn Holden, whether it's from Jermaine Burton. Ja'Cory Brooks has dropped passes too, even though he has showed up and showed out in games. But these receivers as a whole, they got to play ball this week. Bryce Young puts that ball in the air, you got to make a play. You got to come down with that football, get up and down the field. Even down to the tight ends, using Cameron Latu more within the system. We saw Amari Niblack one game this year catch a touchdown pass. Haven't seen much of him since. Incorporating him more. Using every weapon that you have in this attack to make plays. So, wide receivers, got to work your routes. Got to work back to Bryce Young. Most importantly, got to catch the football in this game right here against LSU. Should be a good one, though. But I think Bryce Young healthy, feeling good. I think for Bryce and Bill O'Brien, these two being on the same page, O'Brien trusting just more, a bit, even just a little bit more, trusting the run game, especially when you see it succeeding. Offensive line, having a great week of practice. Can that turn into going on the road and handling an LSU defensive front? And then last but not least, these wide receivers People have been talking all week. Look at the receivers LSU has. Look at their receiver room. Look at how dynamic they are. Alabama's got a deep, talented receiver room. This is their chance to show, okay, you talk about LSU, we good too. We big time too. And show that this is a big time wide receiver room. But we go to our next break here, folks. We get back and return to those phone lines. We grab your calls, your thoughts, your conversations right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back into the action here on the hottest show on the streets, breaking down that Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA. We got over 240 people in the chat. We're over 100 likes, but let's get this thing to 150 likes right now. Hit that like button, smash the like button, give us that thumbs up right there on the show. Make this your show, your network platform, channel, and space to talk Crimson Tide football. Right now we go to the phone lines to grab your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. And I'm going to call in to let your voice be made known, 205-448-1358. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm calling in from Carrollton, Georgia. I am a big-time Alabama fan, and I'm super excited about the game this Saturday. And I was just wondering, what are your intakes on how you think our defense is going to do, and about Eli Ricks?
So, Amanda, good question. That's a great question right there. So, Amanda, Eli Ricks, I think he's going to have a big game. I know Saban said he doesn't want him to overthink it because you're playing against your former team. But I think Eli Ricks is going to do well simply because I think the other guys in the secondary, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jordan Battle, DeMarco Helms, Brian Branch, they're going to have his back. So, they're going to do their job, which is going to have Eli Ricks play even better. So I think Ricks is going to have a big game. I think defensively, it's going to come down to our defensive line. Can the guys like Byron Young and Tim Smith and Jamil Burrows, can they get to Jayden Daniels? If not, get to him for a sack. At least bat the ball down, knock the ball down, frustrate him in some way, shape, or form. We put a lot on Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, and Chris Braswell, and for obvious reasons, those guys can get sacks as outside linebackers, but it starts off with that interior defensive line. If Bama can pressure that pocket from the inside, Jayden Daniels is going to have a rough night.
And, quite honestly, I believe if we would have gotten a little bit more pressure on Hendon Hooker in that Tennessee game, I think it would have been a little bit different than what it was, too.
I think so also. I mean, that should have been the game plan going in. I know Bama had respect for Tennessee's receivers, but that should have been a plan coming in because the few moments that Bama did get to Hendon Hooker, it got a sack from DJ Dale. It forced an incomplete pass, and then there was the mishandle of the football, and it was a fumble, and Dallas Turner recovered it for a touchdown. So if Bama would have brought more pressure throughout the game, it would have been different.
And I truly believe that.
Absolutely. Appreciate Amanda there for that call, calling in from Georgia. Her thoughts there on the Alabama LSU game coming up this weekend. We're going to grab this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steve, what's up with you, man? This is Jay from Sheffield.
Hey, my man, Jay, man. Ain't no party till Jay call. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Steve, I want to tell you thank you, man. I'm the man at the water cooler now.
Hey, you the man here, Jay. You the man that people expect to see now.
Oh, appreciate it, man. But yeah, man, we got to see Eli Riggs, but we need to see Will Anderson gonna bring the phone, man. We ain't seen that man play out his mind, aggressive. However you want to play, however you want to say it. We ain't seen Will play crazy at all. P. Golden need to stop dropping these boys back in coverage and let them loose. Because this old little run around, throw it deep quarterback LSU guy, man, he's a knockoff Henderson. He's a knockoff. Man, we can't lose to no knockoff, man.
And Jay, you're absolutely right. You can't just drop pass rushes and coverage. You got to turn them boys loose and go let them boys hunt. You can't just turn Will and Dallas and Chris Braswell in coverage. Turn them boys loose. Let them get a field. Let them boys go hunt the quarterback. And by the way, let all the boys up front go hunt the quarterback because that defensive front seven, that's their job. Either you hunt the running back or you go hunt the quarterback.
And can you leave Seth in at freaking center? We want an offensive line that can dominate and spank. I was in the cuss, Steve. I'm sorry. That can spank folks behind. That's what we want, man. We don't want. Hey, Dalcourt cool, but he couldn't move. He couldn't move a baby off the swing. Man, we need folks that's gonna move people about the hole. And let's get back to running this ball up the middle. Straight power plays, Alabama. Double teams. I'll forget all of that, pulling a guard and all that. No, man, that's too NFL. We don't have the lineman for that. We got the lineman where we can double team, down block on this guy, and move up to the linebacker. It should just be that simple. That's what Tennessee beat us with, a simple inside zone. But I don't know, Steve, man. I love y'all. Roll Tide. But, yeah, man, you got me. They say, hey, man, he called you out on the show, man. So, I feel like the man at the water cooler now at work, Steve. Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate Jay from
Roll
Sheffield.
Tide, y'all. Love y'all.
Absolutely. Appreciate Jay from Sheffield there calling into the show. And Jay's been talking about this for a while. He's been talking about creativity from the coordinators. He's been talking about running game. If you listen to this show and you hear Jay, you get a lot of nuggets there of what needs to be taking place there on the field for Alabama. But we grab this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steve? This is Curtis Jennings. I'm calling from Fort Pierce, Florida. What's going on, Steve?
Doing great, Curtis, and yourself?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Now, Steve, let me ask you something. If Bill O'Brien is so good, right, why is Tyler Harrell still sitting on the sideline? This man is a speedster. People don't play his tape from last year. This man was on fire. Please tell me why he has not yet really got in, really get to show his speed. We know we got him. Why are we not using him?
I can think of one of two reasons, Curtis. So either reason A, Harrell's foot injury was worse than what was let on for it to be, and it took more time than what we thought for him to get actually truly healthy. That's A. Or B, does Bill O'Brien truly recognize the personnel he's putting out there on the field or that's going out there on the field? So it's only one of those two.
Right, because you sit there, you think, you look at Bryce, and you go, he got a lot of weapons around him. We rely on Gibbs a whole lot. Trayshawn Holden, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, one of my guys that I like back from seeing him in high school. But you really think about it and you go, this man could take the top off. Tua had Jalen Waddle. You know, Coker had so many other people around him. But let's really say, if he was out there, tell me Tyler Harrell can't take the top off, and he would be that 1-2 punch that Alabama needs. Because we always had speedsters, Waddle, Jerry, Devontae. You need somebody that you can get the ball out there to. And everybody says Alabama doesn't have a passing offense like that. Well, we can if Harrell is what you call healthy.
Oh, absolutely. And Harrell's good now. Okay, he's good now. So have him out there on the field. You've got Bond who could take the top off. You've got Harrell who could take the top off. You've got Kobe Prentice who could take the top off. Christian Leary, this is a 100-meter dash demon. He could take the top off, and I'm wondering where he is.
Steve, what's going on, man? Because I'm sitting there saying, I heard you talking about it yesterday with Scarborough and number one. Really think about this, and I pose a question to you. Is Bill O'Brien really using Bryce's full potential? He's a Heisman winner. Do you think he's really using his potential, his highest potential for this year? Because if we don't win a championship, what are we doing?
That's a good question. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. Because if you look at Bryce, it's like Bryce is laboring trying to get stuff done. And he shouldn't have to labor so hard. You go back to, Lane Kiffin didn't have Jacob Coker laboring that hard. Kiffin didn't have Blake Sims laboring that hard, or Jalen Hurts his freshman year. Steve Sarkisian didn't have Mac Jones or Tua laboring this hard. So why in the world is Bryce, like Bryce is literally like one of them old pickup trucks where you got to roll the window up? No, Bryce shouldn't have to do that. Bryce just hit a button. Beep, window go all the way up by itself.
Right, because I'm sitting there, I'm almost calling for his head at the end of this season if we fall short. Because everybody says it. This game could be a blowout game. Now, LSU, don't knock them. They nice. But when you sit here and you say Bryce is doing everything, he's Houdini, this man can do anything on the field. Put the runners out there, not having to rely on Gibbs so much, because remember now, we're fighting to get to the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, you're going to need Gibbs' legs every game. But if you're telling me Harrell is ready, Burton is ready, you want to have guys, when you look in their eyes, they say, you know what, we'll kill LSU. Like I said, Bo Scarborough from yesterday, he told you. You can see it in their eyes before they even get out the tunnel. You got to play. This is Bama, baby.
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. Appreciate my man Curtis there calling in from Florida to the show. We take this call. You're live on the show. What's happening? What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
This is Neil. I'm calling from Alexander City, Alabama.
How are we feeling, man?
I'm great. I just want to know why they won't just go back to the pound, and then take the top off.
That's what made it great when you had Lane Kiffin in here. You went pound, then play action shot. I don't know why. I mean, I know Bill O'Brien brings in all of his NFL stuff, but this is a team where you're trying to win a championship. You build your offense around the personnel that you have. You don't try to fit. You don't try to fit the offense into your personnel, into your system. You fit your system around the offense that you have, around the players that you have. And to me, I've always said this. It's like O'Brien is trying to take a square peg and jam into a circle. You don't have a circle. You have a square peg. And you're trying to jam into a circle. It's not going to fit. I mean, you can make it fit, but it's going to be highly uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is. And then, pound it, slant, pound it, top off. Something. It's simple. I ain't even a coach. But that's all I had to say.
Appreciate my man calling in right there to the show, helping us out here on In My Own Words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate all of you guys calling in, giving us your intake, giving us your take there on your Crimson Tide. Before we actually get to this next call topic, John, so Calvin Ridley, no longer a member of the Atlanta Falcons. He got traded yesterday to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Calvin returns home to South Florida to play for Jacksonville. Now, he's still suspended, this season due to him betting on NFL games, and a few of those games were games that the Falcons played in. But still suspended for the duration of this season. He will be able to be back next season. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have put Calvin with Trevor Lawrence. So it'll be fun to see how that dynamic works there. But topic here, several Alabama players have become semifinalists for these national awards. That time of year where these organizations, they put out their finalist list here for these national honors. Where Alabama is concerned, first and foremost, you got Bryce Young, quarterback, and Jahmyr Gibbs, running back. They're both semifinalists for the Maxwell Award, which goes to the best offensive player in college football. It's presented by the Maxwell Football Club. Then you've got Will Anderson and Kool-Aid McKinstry. They're finalists for the Chuck Bednarik Award, which goes to the best defensive player, the Maxwell Football Club. Then you've got Will Anderson, who's a semifinalist for the Rotary Lombardi Award, goes to the best offensive lineman and or defensive lineman. It's from the Rotary Club of Houston. The Lombardi Award is named after legendary NFL head coach Vince Lombardi. Then you've got Henry To'o, who's a finalist for the Dick Butkus Award, which goes to the nation's top linebacker. And some people are going to go, whoa, what now? Henry T, semifinalist for the Dick Butkus Award? Yes, Henry To'o, semifinalist for the Dick Butkus Award. But in a tough category he is. Kind of guys, semifinalists for that honor right there. But we're already seeing here these lists out for these individual honors from these organizations. But shouts out to all of the Alabama players getting this recognition right now. But we go to a break right here, folks. On Touch That Down. When we get back, we look at Alabama in the debut college football playoff rankings that came out on Tuesday. What does Alabama need to do moving forward here in trying to run the table for a national championship? We tidy up loose ends with that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we're back into the action from the break here, talking Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA, at 124 likes right now on the show. Appreciate you guys, but still trying to hit that 150 before the show ends. So hit that like button, smash the like button, give us that thumbs up, whatever you're doing. Be sure to hit that like button. Make sure that you're showing that support for your show, your place to talk Crimson Tide football. Before we get to the final topic of conversation, I'm going to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of your swagger, sauce, drip, clothing, cultural, fashion needs, check us out, TDAwear.com. The link in the description. Get you that gear today. Get you that gear right now. Represent your Crimson Tide and the brand. giving you your information on your favorite program. Show that support to Coach Saban, University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. Well, John, on yesterday, college football playoff rankings came out, debuted for this season, 2022, on ESPN, and nothing surprised me by how this all unfolded, with Tennessee number 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4, Michigan 5, and Alabama at number 6. None of this shocked me whatsoever. Clemson Tide debuting at number 6 here in the college football playoff rankings here for 2022. But a lot of fans are going, oh my gosh, Bama is 6. This is awful. This is terrible. This is sad. We're outside the top. Bama's outside the top 4. Like, what are we going to do here? Bama's outside the top 4. I'll say this. Alabama has everything right there in front of them. And here's why. Georgia will play Tennessee this weekend. One of those two will cancel the other one out. Michigan still has to play Ohio State. That'll cancel each other out. So Alabama's job went out the remainder of its regular season schedule with the sense of urgency, get to the SEC championship, win that, and it'll jump right on in there to the college football playoff. And this is not the first time Nick Saban and company have been not in the top 4 to open the playoff. You remember 2014, the inaugural first year of the CFP, Alabama had Blake Sims at quarterback. Alabama opened the playoff at number 6 that year. And Blake Sims got the team to an SEC championship, got it into the CFP, Sugar Bowl matchup there against Ohio State. And if Lane Kiffin would have just kept running the ball with Derrick Henry, Alabama would have won that game, but I digressed from that statement. Point is, Alabama's been here before. 2015, you remember Jacob Coker as the starting quarterback. Alabama opened that college football playoff rankings at number 5. And the Tide, despite a loss to Ole Miss in the early part of the season, ran the table all the way to a SEC championship and a national championship, taking care of Clemson 45-40 in the first matchup between Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. So the Tide has been here before. They've been in this situation before. It's just how will this team, go about handling it? How will this team go about handling it? Alabama knows the responsibility. Saban knows the responsibility. He knows the urgency. It's okay. We have LSU this week, Saturday. Go out here, play loose, play fast, play with urgency, play like you know what's on the line here against LSU. Then you go against Ole Miss the very next week, do the exact same thing. Then you go against Auburn, the Iron Bowl, do the exact same thing. So the Tide knows the pressure. They've been in this situation before. Everything else will work itself out, cancel itself out. In the words of the great Al Davis, his grave, he would say, just win, baby. Just win. That's all Alabama's got to do. Just win out the remainder of the regular season schedule. But, as always, Tide fans, you want the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app, the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team App, or Google Play Store. You have the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. The good and gracious Lord sees fit. I'll be back on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Had that sent directly to your door. That link found in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member or a subscriber today. That link in the description too. you're trying to get your hands on that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description as well. Gotta appreciate my guys, Donnie Lee Jr., former Alabama receiver, and Carter Bryant, who covers the LSU Tigers, coming on here, doing their thing on the show, providing their expertise on this matchup right here. Gotta shout you guys out, the outstanding fans of Crimson Tide football, for your donations, your phone calls, your conversations. You guys hitting that like button, making this your show, your place to talk Bama football. Gotta shout out my man John Ivory in the production studio, the maestro, handling things behind the scenes there. Till next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands, children. You guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored. Be sure to get yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. And until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and you've been listening to In My Own Words.